Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and maybe even good evening. My name is Kevin May. I'm the editor and co-founder of tnooz.com. Welcome to another one of our webinars, and I'm very pleased to welcome back WEX, who has done a couple of these with us in the past, and they're joining us today we're delighted that they've supported this particular one, a real nuts and bolts at the coalface type webinar today, maximising virtual credit card efficiencies and supplier acceptance. Now, what does all that mean, you might say to yourselves? Well, what WEX does, and it's a really interesting trend that's been going on in the industry, is all around virtual credit cards and how online travel agents pay their suppliers, whether those are their hotels, car rental agencies, and tour operators. Virtual credit cards, provides global supplier acceptance using things like MasterCard. In each of these kind of requests and the interaction that takes place between suppliers and intermediaries can be quite complicated. There are various things that people need to do, but it is a really interesting and growing part of the industry that we hope over the course of the next 55 minutes or so we will get some of the history of how this has all taken place and what some of the processes that are involved. Really, what we hope is that you'll leave the end of this webinar a lot more knowledgeable than perhaps you are at the moment. So, like I said, I'm Kevin May. I'm in the UK today. I'm always joined by Jean Quinn, who's our glamorous producer behind the scenes. He's also my co-founder and the CEO of tnooz.com. And I'm delighted to introduce our panel today. So in Portland, we have Nicole Tackett, who's the Manager Global Product and Marketing for WEX Virtual. In Fort Lauderdale, in Florida, we have Dina Jones, who is the Senior Product Manager for Travel at WEX Virtual, and she is joined in Fort Lauderdale this afternoon, or this morning where they are, by Lior Collins, who's the Director for Applications at Kerzner in North America. So thank you very much, and welcome to those. Let's have the next slide there, Jean, please. So the way this agenda will work, if you can take me to the next slide as well there, Jean, that'd be great. So we can get an overview about WEX and how does it work and what does WEX do specifically in the travel space. We're going to be looking at the integration between and some of those challenges between buyers and suppliers. And then we're going to get to talking about some of the case studies and how this affects global hotel companies. And then, as I said, we're going to hear from Lior at Kerzner International Resorts specifically about some of the things that they have been doing. So let's have the next slide. As always, regular tuners into our webinars will know that we like to intersperse our webinars with polls. We want to get a bit of a litmus test for all you listening in and see how you're feeling about particular subjects. However, we don't throw you in at the deep end, so here is a quick teaser poll just so that you can familiarize yourself with the system, and it's very simple, I hope. Where are you located? So please select one of the following: North America, EMEA, Latin America, or Asia Pacific. If you could just select one of those, and we will get the results of those up in a second. Okay, Jean, let's have those results up now, please. And there we go. So 57% of you are in North America, almost 4 out of 10 of you are in EMEA. Single digits there for Latin America. We're never surprised about the APAC ones, given that it is either in the middle of the night or in the late evening in Asia Pacific. So thank you very much for that voting on that poll, and we'll dive straight into a slightly more relevant poll for what we will be discussing today. I beg your pardon, sorry, we do have the second poll coming up later. So, sorry about that. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Nicola Tackett, who, as I said earlier, is the Manager for Global Product and Marketing at WEX Virtual. As I said, she's in Portland. Good morning to you, Nicole.
Good morning, Kevin, and thank you, and look forward to hearing what Dina and Lior have to say later today. But before they get into the nitty-gritty of everything, I wanted to kind of give an overview about WEX and who we are and how we play a role in travel payments today. So WEX Inc. Actually celebrated its 30th birthday this year. It was a company that started back in 1983. We are publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol WEX, and we process about $31 billion in annual commercial payments. And that payment volume, it comes from about 350,000 commercial customers focused on both fleet, employee benefit, and virtual payment solutions. so it's that real strong focus on B2B payments. We also have a bank here in the U.S., which is an industrial loan corporation, which allows us to extend credit to our customers here in the U.S. and around the world. You know, as I mentioned, one of the 3 subsets of payments that we focus on is the WEX Virtual, and we kind of focused within the WEX Virtual line of business. We have a subset, which you'll see throughout this presentation, that is WEX Travel. So WEX Travel is our payment solution, virtual payment solution focused for travel companies. WEX pioneered the single-use payment technology about 13 years ago. So we started working with a travel company in Connecticut back in 2000 with the single-use technology. We've experienced a high amount of growth as the travel space has grown, particularly the online travel space has grown, and there's been an increased need for payment efficiencies and global acceptance of payments around the world. The WEX Travel solution allows our customers to make payments and issue, and as WEX issues and settles in multiple currencies. And we have a front end where we can serve customers around the world in multiple languages. So we've really expanded our product offering, and it really is the first product that WEX has had that is that's truly a global product. And you can see a little bit below on some of the awards that WEX has won. One of the Forbes 2012 Best Small Businesses, Information Week 500, and Top 20 Customer Service. So these are awards that just emphasize that both technology and customer service are of critical importance to WEX and how we serve our customers. Next slide, please, Jean. So WEX's global growth, so while we've invested a lot in growing our virtual travel solution globally, WEX itself as an entity has also grown globally. So we have 6 offices in the United States, in addition to an office with our subsidiary WEX Corporate Pay in the UK, WEX Australia and New Zealand, and an office in Brazil through our wholly owned subsidiary Unique. And we're also currently opening an office in Singapore. So we've really expanded our infrastructure globally, which has really helped us support this product as we've expanded. And we can offer not only servicing to our customers in the U.S., but also local servicing in the geographies where we're also present around the world. Next slide, Jean. So I think it's just really interesting to see if you look at our portfolio and you take a snapshot of the data, the WEX card is used in over 220 countries and territories around the world. So it's a pretty amazing magnitude of scope. It's used at over 110,000 hotels around the world. It's just pretty amazing how much this product has grown and is used by our current customer base, and a continued need for travel customers around the world. Next slide, Jean. So how does WEX Travel work? Just kind of a quick overview of that for you. Just taking a use case here. You know, I'm a consumer and I want to go book a hotel room on an online site. I go in and I book my hotel room for the, let's just say, a good use case. I want to have a really nice vacation. So I'm going to go stay at Kerzner International in Dubai for a fantastic vacation. And I book I pick that hotel on an online travel agency. And as soon as I make that reservation, a single-use card number is tied to that reservation number and then sent to Kerzner International in Dubai. And so that reservation number and that single-use account number are tied together for the lifetime of the reservation and post the reservation. A virtual card number has certain controls on the card on when it can be charged, how much it can be charged for, at which locations it can be charged with certain merchant category controls. And when I go to check in at the hotel at Kerzner International, the card will be authorized and charged for the appropriate amount. And once my stay is complete, the reconciliation back to that travel agency is done automatically if it meets certain criteria. The WEX solution, if certain criteria aren't met, we'll bring those exception items and point them out to our customers, but we really are focusing on trying to make an automatic reconciliation process, tying that unique reservation number back to that unique 16-digit virtual card number. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits of virtual payments? Sorry, Jean, one more slide up. I think you skipped one. Thank you. So what are the benefits of virtual payments? WEX does have a one-time use secure account number. Those card numbers are never recycled. They're never used again. So if you're thinking about a travel reservation and tying it to a specific event, it will only be tied to that event and not another reservation 6 months or 12 months down the road. So it makes the reconciliation process much more efficient and reduces errors. It is a global payment platform. Allows for the timely transfer of funds globally, and also, again, has acceptance at over 30 million merchants worldwide through the MasterCard network, but also the WEX card itself is used at over 110,000 hotels worldwide. So a very strong acceptance network where the WEX card is used today. Real-time processing, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but the WEX product supports 24/7 operational environments. We understand that travel occurs all around the world at all times of night, and our solution has very sufficient 99.999% uptime to be able to support our customers' needs in booking travel, putting the specific controls in place to reduce fraud and allow for authorizations to occur when our customers want them to occur. We also allow for enhanced data quality for the ease of reconciliation and also improving the process improvements. Next slide, please. So WEX does offer 2 different types of payment options. We call it here single and multiple. Really, single supports those 24/7 highly operational environments where you require real-time processing, the immediate need for a 16-digit card number. Again, and it still has the one-time use, the transaction-specific controls, and the integration with your systems. And the multiple product, just if you need to pay your suppliers in more of a batch process. So if you're trying to emulate more of a check run type process, or you're paying suppliers on a month-end type situation instead of just a one-to-one situation, we can accommodate that. So we offer 2 different payment solutions, and we can adapt based on how you pay your suppliers. Next slide, please, Kevin or Jean. So I think, again, WEX really focuses on IT innovation. We pioneered this technology over 13 years ago in the travel space. We have an extensive amount of experience in the travel sector, and our product development continues to focus on the continued innovation within that vertical. We do not have any upfront or ongoing implementation fees. We have a very seamless and nimble integration process. So WEX today supports 3 of the largest OTAs in the world, and we also support new startups. So we have range and flexibility in our technology to meet the needs of the largest of the large, but also those that are just getting started. Our releases happen regularly. We try to have a rapid process development, and all of our updates are available to our customers upon the release. We're not asking our customers to change their code to be able to meet, to be able to adapt to the new product enhancements. And again, we have the capacity to support the 24/7 environments. I think that's really important, particularly as companies are going global and being able to support needs all around the world in the different time zones. So that is the overview on WEX. And I'll pass it back to Kevin.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicole. Amazingly, I hadn't even mentioned at the beginning that we will be having a Q&A at the end, but already we've had quite a few questions come in. So well done, Nicole. I think you've inspired people already. So a quick reminder on that then. You can submit your questions for the Q&A at the end by using the questions button, which should be on the right-hand side of your dashboard. And also, as I said, on the chat system just then, if you have to dip out at any point, please don't worry. we always record all of our webinars, and we'll put that recording and a copy of all the slides that you have seen or are about to see up on tnooz.com. Usually, we hope within about 10 or 12 hours, so don't worry about that. So keep on submitting your questions. Thanks to those that have done already. We're going to do another couple of polls here, so and these ones definitely are related to the subject at hand. So let's have the first of those two polls, please, Jean. And the question is, for travel buyers, are you currently using a virtual card solution? Yes, no, no, but I'm interested in implementing one. So hopefully a relatively simple question for you all there, if you'd like to cast your votes. Okay, that's almost all of you have voted there. So let's have the results there, Jean, please. And a tie between yes and no at 36%. Good news for WEX, I think, there. So no, 36%, and 27% there are interested in implementing one. So keep tuning in, everybody, because you're about to hear some detail on this, but not before we get to our third poll. If you can put that one up as well, please, Jean. And the question is as follows. So for travel supplies, are you currently accepting a virtual card solution? So this is specifically for the suppliers tuning in today. Yes, no, no, but I'm interested. So let's have those votes, please. Okay. And I think let's have the results, Jean, please. And again, a tie between yes and no. I can assure you we do not fix the results just for dramatic effect. So 38% yes and no, 23% say no, but they are interested. So thank you very much to everybody for voting in those two polls. We go to the next slide, and I'm now going to introduce Dina Jones, who I said earlier is the Senior Product Manager at WEX Travel. She is in Fort Lauderdale, as I said earlier, in Florida today. I'm absolutely convinced it's warmer there than it is here in the UK. But a very good morning to you, Dina, and the floor is now yours. We're looking forward to hearing what you've got to say.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. Next slide, Jean. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I am going to take some time and take a look at the reservation network and explain how WEX has helped drive efficiencies through our virtual credit card with our travel partners. On the slide you see in front of you is a complex hospitality distribution channels, and you see the various conduits through which the reservations pass through to reach the hotel and the property management systems, as you see at the bottom right corner. Two of the primary distribution channels that we are working with are the global distribution channels and the OTAs on the far left of this slide. And you see within those channels, there are many sub-channels. So you have multiple GDS suppliers, Sabre, WorldSpan, Galileo, as well as our OTAs that we may be working with, Orbitz, Bookit, different tour operators that are integrated. Many of our hotels and worldwide chains are using channel partners to flow these reservations through to the far right to the central reservation system. And as far as the various connections, those suggested in between are Synexus and HBSI may be those channel partners that are flowing the reservations from the GDS as well as from the OTAs. There is also many of the OTAs which are allowing for direct connects to hotel chains, central reservations direct, such as Expedia Quick Connect. To the far right, you see the central reservation system, which Kerzner International has their own proprietary system, and we work with, of course, Marriott chain, IHG, all the worldwide chains, as well as Microsystems has a central reservation system. And there's an interface that often flows between the two, the central reservation system and the property management systems. This interface oftentimes may involve some one-way and two-way interfaces between various elements. These include the reservations, inventory, rates, availability, and profiles between your central reservation and property management systems. So as you see through this slide, there's many different channels and conduits in between each flow. So with these conduits and integrations in between leads us to many challenges and complexities with the flow of our reservations with the virtual card solution. Next slide, Jean. Based on this reservation network system, the various complexities and challenges that we experience is that with each distribution channel integration, it creates a potential virtual card processing challenge and reservation discrepancies. The other is that the GDS and the reservation systems, central reservation as well as the property management systems, currently do not have a standard field identified for single-use virtual card payment versus a physical card payment type. Next slide, Jean. Based on these integration complexity, WEX identified some initiatives to drive efficiencies for our travel partners and OTAs. And some of these initiatives that we have taken upon to drive these efficiencies is to proactively review authorization data by hotel chain to identify various trends. We've also evaluated our customers, OTAs, as well as the travel company's call center volume and possible call reasons to identify potential integration issues with the flow of the reservations. We conducted deeper analysis on the various data to identify the source of the issue. And then ultimately, we developed resolutions for improved efficiencies. Next slide, Jean. Based upon these efficiencies we wanted to drive, I'm going to go over a couple of case studies that we had done with our current travel partners with some of the worldwide hotel chains that we are using and accepting our virtual card payment. The first one was we looked at the authorization data and reference to declines of such data, such as the date and timestamps of each decline. And we found a trend across a particular hotel chain, a worldwide hotel chain. We found that there was 41,000 declines over a particular 3-day period. Upon analysis of this authorization decline dates, we found that there was multiple times that the card was being authorized from the time that the reservation was created to at the check-in date of the card or the guest. As we looked into this, I worked with the hotel chain that this was experienced with, and from that, we implemented on the PMS some changes at the properties. It was found that when the reservation was being sent to the property management system, it was being inserted with a reservation status guaranteed type of full prepay. So based upon that, the property management system had a nightly scheduled job which would go through and try to authorize the card for full payment in advance. So they ultimately needed as a solution to change where the reservation was not being inserted into the property management system with the current reservation status. With this particular chain, as I explained in the reservation network, the change needed to happen at the property management system in the configuration. It was not something that could be done at the central res and distributed to the properties. So they have broadcasted that out to their properties, and they are making that change, and the result of that benefit is that the OTAs and our travel partners saw immediate reduction in the decline authorization real-time alerts that we send to them. And this, of course, before was giving them a lot of false false positive alerts on decline authorizations. And we, of course, want to be proactive if there is any real issues with the card, that our travel partners can be on top of it. And as well, the hotel suppliers experienced a reduction in their declined authorization attempts on their side, and depending on their acquirer from the hotel chain, they may have seen some reduction on their credit card fee costs. Next slide, Jean. The next case study that was done was based upon increased call volume that was experienced by one of our OTAs for a specific hotel chain. With this, we had conversations with the various call agents as to what the call reason, and it was identified that the authorization code was not properly being used from the front desk agents at the property. They were not using the right code. And in addition, we looked at the authorization attempts that were declined, and we found that there was over 17,000 declines on a $10 authorization attempt for incidentals on the OTA's folio. So based upon this analysis, again, I worked with the corporate hotel supplier online distribution group and discussed with them the challenges, and we found that they had recently changed their implementation standard operating procedures for this particular OTA, and that did correlate back to directly to the increased call volume that our OTA had experienced. So based upon that, we were able to give the hotel chain a report of the non-compliant properties that had the most number of declines and getting the most number of calls at our call center. And they reiterated their standard operating procedures to the properties, where at check-in, they were to change the guest folio for the online travel agent to cash payment, and then the $10 incidental charge would not be automatically authorized through the property management system because the payment was changed to cash at check-in. And again, as the results of this case study, the OTA experienced call center cost reduction and again declines in the number of authorizations. And for the hotel chain, they also could possibly experience some lower credit card fees in reference to the $10 incidental authorization decline that was previously being authorized. And with that, I'd like to turn it back to Kevin.
Okay, thank you very much, Dina. Right, so before we get to the final part of the sessions here, we've got a final poll for you. So poll number 4, please, and that's the question for that is, what is your primary virtual card processing challenge? So what worries you potentially? Is it acceptance? Is it charges, declines, implementation, or is it another? Okay. Might need a few extra moments to make your mind up on this one. Okay, I think just a few more seconds there, Jean, and then let's have those results up, please. Okay, so the winner, if there is a winner, 30%. Implementation is a challenge. Next there is acceptance, just almost a quarter, and then as you can see the others, overcharges, declines, and others 17%. If anyone wants to put into the question tool there what some of the other issues might be, and we'll try and get around to some of those during the Q&A as well. So thanks ever so much for that one, Jean. Before I hand over to Lior in Florida, just a quick reminder that we do have the Q&A, as I said, coming up in about 10 minutes or so, as soon as we've heard from Lior at Kerzner. And another quick reminder, obviously, we are recording the entire thing and the slides, and we'll put those all up on tnooz.com within about 10 hours, hopefully. So, delighted to introduce now Lior Collins, who's the Director for Applications at Kerzner. It says there the core value number one is to blow away the customer. So that's a great tagline and a very bold one for a brand. So over to you, Lior, and you're also in Fort Lauderdale in Florida today. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much, Kevin. So I'm Lior Collins, and I work at Kerzner in the Florida office, and I manage the IT applications area for our several properties, all of the central reservation systems and property management information that gets transferred back and forth, and everything that happens on our online booking engines. Next slide, Gene. So I was asked to participate in this webinar just to kind of give some feedback on some of the successes that Kerzner has had in integrating our partners into the central reservation system. Obviously, that trend started several years ago, probably about 10 years ago. A lot of OTAs were starting to electronically interface into different hotels and offer up much of the efficiencies that are offered up with integration. And obviously, we've done that with a lot of our big systems such as Synexis, Expedia, and HBSI, and we basically integrate them into our own proprietary central reservation system. We have developed our own interfaces as well as our central reservation system, and that's why we have the ability to do that. But it basically gives us the ability to have an efficient real-time ARI, which is the availability rates and inventory, as well as a seamless reservations process so that we get last-minute reservations right into our property management systems. The reservation processes also integrates into our revenue management system. So we've done some nice developments there to allow us to optimize the rates that are available out in the partner systems, as well as, we want to always ensure that we have parity in the market so that all of our partners have the same rates that we have available, thus making it very easy for them to book at last minute availability and anything that is available in the market. Alleviating the manual process gives us, a great efficiency as it gets us the reservations fast, and also, puts us out there in the market so that we can sell those last-minute available rooms always. Next slide, Gene. So some of the custom things that we've done, some custom integration efficiencies that we have done since we found that we had a need for, was profile routing. So based on the OTA's profile, we associate that into the PMS in order to route certain charges over to the OTA's folio versus the guest pay incidental charges that you might see traditionally at the property. We're taking advantage of virtual cards for our partners, our OTAs, or some of our OTAs are utilizing the virtual card, so we obviously want to ensure that we only charge the portion that is their responsibility on that card. We've done a lot of system configuration setting and mapping tables where necessary, and that's just because every property is unique, as I'm sure every other hotel faces the same challenges. Every property and every chain has their own unique little things that need to be addressed or handled, and so we do those through various configuration settings and mapping tables that we needed to develop. And of course, as I spoke earlier, the real-time ARI and reservations, the goal is always to serve up the last-minute availability and rates to our partners. We want to make sure that everyone has the parity and the ability to sell us at all times. Next slide, Gene. So some of the successful things that we've seen with the virtual card integration has been the simplified processing of the OTA partners' financial responsibility. So, we've got a card to go ahead and charge, and through the integration through our partners that I spoke about, the Synexis and HBSI and and Expedia, we are able to get the credit card numbers passed for some of our properties where we are taking advantage of the virtual card as the payment for that reservation. We're also able to do complete end-to-end testing. Whenever we add a new partner that has, that's taking advantage of this, we're able to implement them pretty quickly by offering up the ability to simply configure them as a new partner into that system, into that integration. And then there's also less work for our AR team on the property. Traditionally, AR teams have to worry about the 30-day cycles or maybe even longer to get paid for the bookings and manage that process, where whenever the properties that have taken advantage of a virtual card from a partner have the ability to charge that monies at check-in or at checkout. So it kind of puts the money in our pocket quickly. Next slide, Dean. Some of the other benefits are we have a guaranteed payment, as I spoke about. We have no need to invoice the travel companies. We get the faster payment of receipts, so we get to put that money right in our accounts quickly. Global payment platform, so we do have the ability to get that from all different currencies, and it comes to all of our properties, because obviously our Kerzner brand is a boutique of resorts around the world, and obviously in different currencies, so that helps us out tremendously there. It's simple, intuitive for our staff, because there's no software. We have absolutely nothing to do other than process a credit card as if we were processing a credit card from any other client. Next slide, Dean. And that's really that's it for my part of the show. I'll turn it back over to Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Lior, and obviously thank you very much to Nicole and Dina. So the three of them are now going to join myself and Jean for a brief Q&A, which will take us up to close to the top of the hour. So we've had lots of questions come in, so feel free to send some more to us, and we'll get them all together and get those over to our panel as soon as we can. So, like I said, lots of questions already, so we'll get through them as quickly as we can. Right, just a general one from me first, and I guess this is to our WEX folk here. So let's say Dina for this one. We talked initially. We was discussed there on the webinar about acceptance by the industry about the virtual. We're talking conceptually now about virtual credit cards. Are there particular areas of the industry, and in particular within hospitality, that have been, dare I say, reluctant to adopt the virtual credit card model, or do you sense that people are coming up to speed? And this is kind of to that first poll question, really. I mean, what particular parts of hospitality then are, would you say, reluctant to embrace virtual credit cards? Dina, if you will.
I haven't seen that there's been a lot of reluctance. I think it's just more as far as the front desk and your staff at the properties. Again, on a lot of the reservations, as I had mentioned in the presentation, that knowing that it is a virtual credit card versus sometimes a physical plastic. Now, this can be, of course, if it's a larger one of our OTA clients, easily identified. However, on some of the smaller ones, it may not. We always advise our clients to add it as a comment to the reservation. But again, so when the guest is checking in, that they aren't asking for the physical card number that is on the reservation for payment for the room and tax on that.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So, right, we'll get through to some of the audience ones now, because they're starting to pile in. So, let's go for, first of all, Tracy asks, and she says, "How do you handle if the hotel requires the actual physical credit card?" Let's have Nicole on that one.
Yeah, we typically don't get requests in the U.S. or even some of the European markets to have a physical credit card. We have had some one-off situations where that may be the case in some of the APAC countries, but very rarely in the U.S. and Europe do we see a requirement to actually have a physical plastic. WEX, depending on our customer, sometimes it's just the 16-digit card number is provided, but we also will email and fax an image of our card so it looks just like a physical plastic, and that oftentimes will meet the needs of the travel supplier.
Sorry, just to reiterate there, Nicole, so a fax copy of the credit card is enough to perhaps kind of alleviate some of these kind of concerns that people have?
That's right, or via email, we can also provide an image of the card. So either media type, we can provide an image of the card, which makes the front desk feel a little bit more comfortable having that tangible, visible card image.
Yeah, sure, and that would be something. Sorry, just not meaning to labour the point. Just as a follow-up there, I suppose it's something that would have to be negotiated locally with that particular hotel or a chain level, or does it really depend on the circumstances?
It's a standard part of our offering, and so if that's something that that our customers want to leverage, that they certainly can. Some of the larger folks have a way of doing business and have larger supplier portals where suppliers can go in and get information. If you go down market, we see a lot of usage, just a standard offering of leveraging our email and fax capabilities.
Okay, so this is another question for you, Nicole, here. This has come from Hans. Hans says, Nicole, did you recognise that in some markets the acceptance of virtual credit cards is not very common? How do you deal with this issue to guarantee that a traveller can be sure that his or her expense in a hotel, as an example, is being paid? I
think as we've gone into markets locally and had a sales effort, we have realized that there needs to be a significant amount of education around virtual card acceptance. But some of the larger players have paved the way in this because they're currently using our WEX cards in markets all around the world. So I think it depends on the market, but I do think that there needs to be an increase of education on the benefits of virtual card. In certain markets like Brazil, for example, we're seeing a lot of need for education at the hotel suppliers and accepting virtual cards. But that isn't a prime example.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so question for Lior. When you started implementing this at Kerzner, did you have any kind of internal challenges that you needed to overcome to kind of say to other members of the management team or different department heads that this is something that needed to be implemented? Was there anything that, in your experience, that would be good to share with the rest of the audience here, if they're trying to get buy-in, to use that trendy term, from the rest of an organization?
No, really. Integration was a big one for us because obviously it allowed us to offer up last-minute availability and make all those processes very efficient. So we had great buy-in from all of the business heads to basically start working on that project. As far as adding in the additional step to take payment, it really was a no-brainer. That was a very easy thing to add into the process where our OTAs do offer up a payment, whether it be the actual guest credit card when they're selling just a standard room rate and they're getting a commission on the back end, or they are selling up net rates and offering up a credit card as payment for their financial part. But for us, no, it wasn't very hard to get the buy-in, and it was we obviously have the luxury of having internal development teams, so we obviously were able to get them to jump on the project and customize exactly based on the business requirements. But no, not much of a challenge.
Okay, so a question for Dina now. So Tracy asks again, what if you have multiple hotels for a trip? For example, I fly to Dallas and I stay at a hotel, and then I go to New York City and stay at another hotel. Will the same number apply for both or individual credit cards?
No, this is a single-use card for each hotel. So for each hotel, WEX provides a separate virtual credit card number for each different hotel stay.
Yeah, and Kevin, just to clarify there, it's each, I guess a different way to look at it, instead of each hotel, each unique reservation. So there would have been two different reservations, and there would have been a unique card number associated with each unique reservation, and in addition to property.
Okay, so we really have got a lot of questions coming now. So Brian asks, a question for you, Nicole, I think. Brian asks, does implementing a virtual credit card have any PCI DSS implications?
There is no personal data on the WEX Travel program that's passed between WEX and our customers, and then also between our customers and their supplier. So attached with our transaction, there's no personal data. And if you go and look on the MasterCard website, or if you want to email me, I can show you where for the housing of virtual card, commercial card numbers at our customers' site, that they do not need to be meet PCI standards. So that information is on the MasterCard website, and I'm happy to share that with you.
Okay. Question from Guillaume. I hope I've pronounced your first name correctly, Guillaume. If a hotel accepts MasterCard cards, does it have to accept the MasterCard virtual credit card systematically, or does the hotel, or can the hotel decide not to accept the virtual credit card? Indeed, why would hotels be reluctant to accept virtual credit cards? I guess that's a question for Dina.
As far as the, if the MasterCard is a 16-digit number, so it wouldn't be processed really through their merchant acquirer any different as far as virtual card versus physical plastic.
Right. Okay. And just a follow up here from Guillaume, he asks, how do you collect the hotel invoice for tax purposes, or how to collect the hotel invoice for tax purposes?
As far as that is, if it's a negotiated room rate with the property, Lior could probably expand on that a little bit more, but it's just you have an agreed net rate based upon the virtual card acceptance, and the room and tax is just posted to that particular folio and settled out to that credit card number. Understood.
Lior, anything that you wanted to add to that particular point?
Yeah, correct. So basically, with that, just like Dina said, if the tour partner or OTA is responsible for picking up the taxes, in our experience, the card that they provide us is authorized or is available to be charged for that amount inclusive of the taxes. So we would just at checkout charge that reservation for that full amount.
Understood. Right. Okay. Just a quick question from us. I guess this is for Nicole or Dina. How do, as opposed to some of the big chains, how do small and boutique hotels take advantage of a virtual credit card? Are there any kind of nuances around how this kind of technique or this kind of discipline is implemented? For a chain that has 100 properties versus a chain that has one property just down the road from me here in the UK. I mean, are there any differences that you can speak of?
I can speak. I mean, really, Kerzner is considered, in a lot of ways, I think, boutique compared to some of the national chains that we, of course, are dealing with, Marriott, et cetera, where Kerzner has 6, is it? I believe 7 between the one and onlys and the Atlantis resorts. And it's basically, again, working through, if you go back to that reservation network system, whether you're a large or a small, you usually are working through channel partners to get the reservations. And so it would be no different in a sense for a smaller boutique hotel, or you may have a direct connect to Expedia and receive the virtual card for payment.
And I think to add to that, I mean, just to be very simple here, as long as a hotel has a way to charge credit cards, they can accept virtual payments. So, so systems integrations aside, if they receive a virtual payment from a travel agency and they have a way to charge that card, they can accept them.
Right. Okay. I think this next question from Brian, and maybe it's just a clarifying one. He asks, how does a customer acquire a virtual credit card? What is the base currency of each virtual credit card, and how does this currency conversion work when used internationally? Nicole.
Sorry, can you repeat the first part of the question, Kevin?
Yeah. Okay. So. How does a customer acquire a virtual credit card? I suppose is the broadest.
Okay, so our customer, speaking of the WEX customer, would be a travel buyer, a travel agency, and those cards can be WEX can provide those cards in 2 fashions. One would be through a web services integration, and they make web services call to receive a card number and pull a card number, or they can go to our front-end web portal and receive a card number. And then from there, they can send that through whatever their integration method is, whether it's direct connect and just sending the card number through that, or via email or fax, sending the card number to the particular travel supplier.
Right, and Brian's kind of second part to his question there was, what is the base currency for each of these virtual credit cards when they have acquired one, and how does this currency conversion work when used internationally, if at all?
Sure. So WEX has several currency offerings today. So if it's a USD card and it's used in Mexico, for example, the card would be authorized in the Mexican peso and then converted back via the MasterCard network to USD, and there's fees that apply to that transaction. But today, WEX issues locally, and when I say issue locally, it means that we have cards issued in that local country, local interchange applies, and therefore international fees are minimized or are not charged at all. So we have local issuing capabilities in the U.S., in Canada, and in the UK in both the euro and the GBP, in the Singapore dollar, the Hong Kong, the Thai baht, and the Malaysian ringgit today, and we're expanding that issuing list as I'm speaking. And that's a key initiative for WEX to be able to offer local solutions in various countries around the world. And then we also offer settlement currencies in several of the other European currencies, and APAC currencies, Australian dollar, Hong Kong dollar, Norwegian krona, South African rand, Swiss franc, where it may be on a U.S. issued card or a Euro issued, a UK issued card, and then you would pay us in those given currencies, so minimizing your FX charges for those particular cards.
Understood. Right. So a question from Simon for Lior. He asks, do you have to be a certain size of operation to be accepted as a virtual credit card customer?
No, not at all. And like Dina had said, we've got our one and only brand, which are resorts that run from 100 to 300 rooms, and then we've got our Atlantis brand, which are our monsters that have thousands of rooms, and they've are huge resorts that also operate the same process.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do some quick fire questions here. So this is a question from Mark. He said, is there any way to identify from the card number if it is a virtual card or a regular physical card? Nicole?
No, there's no way to determine that at this time.
Would that be, I'm not sure if I understand the question. Well, I understand the question, but the context of it, is that something that would worry people if there is a way of telling the difference?
I think from a product perspective, we would like the properties to know that it's a virtual card instead of a physical plastic and have certain controls in place, and that's something that we are working on from a product development process, because there are benefits for a travel supplier to know if it's a virtual card as opposed to a physical plastic, and that's something that we're working on.
Okay, thank you. Hans asks again, does the WEX Travel system have any limitations when it comes to the merchant category code? Something I'm not familiar with. Dina? I think we might have lost Dina there. Nicole?
Yeah, we can set up merchant category codes specific at a customer level, so at a travel buyer level, based on their needs. So we have some customers that like to have very narrow focus for the merchant category codes. And we also have some customers that, because of where they operate geographically, they need to have much wider limits. And so we do make recommendations on what we think those merchant category codes should be. But again, based on the geographic use of the cards, there may be some exceptions.
Right. Okay. So we're just about to wrap up now. I mean, I suppose the question that you always inevitably ask during these kind of things is, we're here and now in late 2013, as we saw from those poll results earlier, that there is this kind of people are interested. Not everybody is using them. I guess Nicole, at a top level in all this, do you sense that we would be having the same kind of discussions and we would indeed be getting the same kinds of questions from people in, say, 2 or 3 years' time? Or do you anticipate that there will be this continual movement and then we'll be talking about something else entirely in 3 years' time, and indeed what that might be when it comes to kind of electronic payments?
Yeah, I think you will see continued innovation with virtual card solutions. They offer a high level of cost savings and efficiencies within the payment process today, and you know, and it's on companies like WEX to continue that innovation. And I think we've been very travel buyer focused, you know, in our tenure here, and we need to, you know, have more of a focus on these solutions and the benefits that they provide, and continuing the benefits on the supplier side as well. So I think it's, you know, it's our job at WEX here to really create a product and bring travel buyers and suppliers together.
Brilliant. Perfect answer. Right. So just for everybody that did submit a question that we didn't get around to answering, because we're obviously very conscious of everybody's time, I've made a note of all of those questions, and I will circulate those to our panel after the show, and then hopefully someone from those representatives will get back to you as soon as possible with an answer. So it only goes for me to say thank you very much to everybody for listening in. Just to remind you that we do have a video of this that we'll be putting up online later on this evening, my time, hopefully, and that'll include all the slides from the various decks that you saw earlier. So finally then, thank you very much to Lior Collins from Kerzner International Resorts, and especially thank you to Dina Jones and Nicole Tackett from WEX Virtual for supporting our webinar today, and for the three of you for being such fine and interesting panelists. So most of all, thank you everybody as always for tuning in. We hope you'll come again to another tnooz webinar. Enjoy the end of your respective working days, and I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected.